Let's say you have a friend who posted a tweet or, criticizing a court judgment, or another friend who fancies himself as a cartoonist and drew a cartoon criticizing a religious department. Or maybe you yourself took part in a May Day rally and you went marching down KL, and all three of you get arrested for doing all of this. What do you do? Do you call the Ghostbusters or do you call the Remand Busters? This is Michelle Yesudas from LFL. Tell us more about your work.
I'm Michelle from Lawyers for Liberty, and we lately have been doing a lot of remands because what has been happening, there has been a crackdown on activists. What LFL does is we are a law reform organisation. So what we do is we mostly focus on reforming legal institutions. Basically, we want to make the law a more human rights friendly.
I've seen you at police stations as turning up, attempting to see these people who were arrested. What is it that you're doing at that point at about 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock, sometimes even at 2 a.m. in the morning?
Well, first of all, we want to ensure that these are human rights defenders. We need to get that straight to the institutions. If you are a rally goer, if you are an opposition leader and you have been arrested for a political reason, these are not your regular criminals who are breaking into a house. These are not people who, produce pedophilic content. These are not the same kind of things. However, they are treated as if they are hardcore criminals. Our primary goal is to defend human rights defenders and to ensure they have access to legal representation, to legal advice, and also to ensure that whatever protocols are complied with, because we don't want them to be left in the lockup for hours without seeing any lawyers, without calling their family.
How long do you have to wait to see a client?
It really depends on the police you're dealing with, and it truly depends on the context. The last remand I attended, I think you were there as well. You spent a really long time there. For us, we got the call that 29 rally goers were arrested. I got the call about 7, so we rushed to the police station about 8. And we stuck around. We were not allowed to see them.
What reasons will they give you when they say we are not allowed to see?
They have many reasons, such as the investigating officer doesn't allow it, protocol. It's usually just protocol and procedure. We remind them there's a constitution, there are civil procedure codes, criminal procedure codes, which allow them to see the lawyers. We need them to be reminded. So sometimes we can wait up until 1 a.m., then we're granted access to see the condition. Sometimes minors are handcuffs. We have to remind them that minors should not be handcuffs. So things like that.
Do they take it politely when they say, look, you should not handcuff a minor. If you are below 18, you should not be handcuffing. I mean, you tell this to a police officer who's probably like 2 times older than you, 2 times taller than you.
Usually the police are quite polite and they're professional. But sometimes they may not agree with you, and because at the end of the day, they are authority, they have power, and they'll just ignore you and continue to handcuff the minor until their upper, higher authority says to let it go.
What has been the greatest challenge when it comes to dealing with police, the courts? Where is the challenge really?
It's the grand design of everything really. Because when you look at double standards, when you look at how some people are given a certain kind of treatment, such as the brother of the IGP, who was allegedly, possibly seen as seditious by leading the cross protest.
And he was only examined for 3 hours, right?
Precisely. Yeah. However, when you look at, good example, antithesis Eric Paulson, who released a tweet about Jakim, and he was detained overnight and then they remanded him further for a few days. So you can see there's a clear double standard. However, when you bring this up, people deny it. And it's not just the institutions, but people on the ground. So I think the real challenge is to ask for equal treatment.
What kind of advice would you give a young person, whether a man or a woman, who wants to join human rights work, who wants to become a lawyer dealing with human rights? Because I meet a lot of young lawyers and they dabble with human rights for a little while during the internship, but very quickly go back into their corporate world.
I mean, if you really want something, you have to know why you want to do it. In fact, I got my start with your NGO. The first time I wanted to get involved, I didn't know who to call, so I called up WAO.
Women's Aid Organization,
Women's Aid, yeah. So that was when I got my exposure to what's really out there and what people can do to help. So for me, just pick up any NGO that's close to your heart and then learn.
Michelle, as a young person, what is your hope for Malaysia?
It's a really tough question. For me, I think I just want to see us to be able to communicate more to one another, not just to, not just the whole race and religion thing. We want to transcend that. We want to be able to talk to our leaders better. We want to talk to our adults better. Because as somebody from Gen Y, we realize there is a communication breakdown and there is feudal mentality where we are not supposed to speak to those more powerful than us. And I want those ideas to disappear.
You want more free flow of communication, and that's why there's this group called Flow, I think.
Okay. Oh yeah, there is the connection.
There is a connection.
Yes. I would like more flow in Malaysia.
Thank you, Michelle. That was really very interesting.
Thank you very much.
You.